I wanted to take the video background software that's out there, test it, put it through its paces. So I made sure that I have a gray background, a gray chair, a gray hoodie, and a gray hat to see how these video background removal software work, both in real time and for post-processing and editing. So I've got a lot of different options to show you. Most of them do pretty good. Some of them do great. So let's just jump right into it. Okay, so this option is Google Meet. Google Meet is a browser-based utility that you can use within OBS. You can use OBS to just record the screen and bring it into your video editing software. It just depends on how you want to use it. So let's go ahead and get in here. Click on New Meeting and just start an instant meeting. So the first thing I'm going to want to do here is just show you exactly how to remove your background, change your background, get that all set up, and then we'll jump back into something like OBS to record. So you want to go to the three dots over here and go to Apply Visual Effects. And it gives you a whole ton of options here. It has the basic blurring of the background, which looks pretty good. You can blur more. And then they provide a whole bunch of different backgrounds. Now you can add your own background if you'd like. You can select any of these from the list that they have down here. There's a troll garden or a fairy garden, a rainy cafe, underwater spaceship or a spaceship, underwater spaceship. But if you're looking for a more realistic background, they've got a couple here. They've basically got a bookshelf behind you, another bookshelf, sort of just a plain basic room, which if you wanted to use something like this, you can basically color correct your webcam image in order to sort of fit into this background better. They also have some silly filters down here, like, well, if I wanted to be a cat, hey, I'm French fries. Whatever. Anyway, there's some options here. Pirate. What is this? I turn this pirate off. There we go. All in all, I think the quality is pretty good depending on what your use case is. For the USB cam, it's not so bad. So let's jump over. Let's close this. Jump back over into OBS. And we're actually going to add this as a window capture. And there I am here in OBS. Now I can hold the Alt key down and I can crop out all the stuff that I don't want. I think I could also have made the Chrome browser full screen if I wanted to get everything, but in this particular case, I'm just looking for an image that I can toss down in the right side corner. So let's go ahead and toss this over here. And depending on your use case, I mean, this looks pretty good. So one thing I also am going to want to do here is just go back over to Google Meet, and I am going to green screen this. So let me jump over here, grab my green screen. So there we go. So what this allows me to do is to record within OBS. I can chroma key within OBS. I can record a full screen if I want to. All right, so once I have my green screen set up here, I'm going to jump back over into OBS, and I am going to add a filter for a chroma key. And that's going to basically suck out any of the green color in this screen. Now, there's a bunch of settings you can do down here to make it look a little bit better. But in the case that you might want to take yourself while streaming or presenting and sort of just toss yourself in the corner, well, this is working pretty great. And again, you can also load in an image. Let's go ahead and pick, I don't know, some background here. Let's just pick this backyard background. Bring this over here, grab the image and drag it behind your window capture. And there you go, straight from the Google Meet source. So I think all in all, I'd say Google Meet is probably, maybe around an 8 or a 9 out of 10 as far as these options go. So the next option here that we have is Zoom. So it's all set up here. I'm in my meeting. Now the easiest way to do this with Zoom, and they have a couple different options too, is you can basically select your camera from this list. So if you look down here, there's a little tiny arrow up. And then you can also say, choose my virtual background. So before I do that, I'll go ahead over to OBS and I will add a window capture. And I have to actually choose Windows 10 from this pop-up in order to get it to display properly. I'm going to hit OK. So here I am in Zoom. So let's jump back over. It's doing a good job. You can blur your background. You can select different types of backgrounds. I added some of these in for testing. If I jump back over to OBS, go ahead and put me over here in the corner. Now, once again, you can go ahead and go back over to Zoom if you want. But I'm going to go ahead and use a green screen. Now I'll move my head around. Let's put my hands up, see how good it is. And it's not so bad depending on what you're trying to do. So hopping back over into OBS, I'm going to add a filter of chroma key. And there I am. Depending on what size you want, whenever you're streaming or recording. If you're streaming, this works perfectly good. You can go ahead and toss your image behind there, whatever image you want separately. But all in all, I mean, I give this an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I mean, I think Zoom works really good depending on what your application is. You know, I'll keep repeating this through the video, but if your application is to use it in a video editing software, you can go ahead and pull the camera up to more of a full screen. Remove the filter of chroma key, so you're getting the full green background. Now, if I was to record this, I can bring this into my video editing software as a full screen video. Now, again, if I start, moving my hands around, that's where it's really going to fail. But if I want to just have an intro to my video, I can use this and chroma key out the green in the background within my video editing software. Okay, so the next option that we have is SnapCam. Now, I did show this in a previous video and didn't get very good results. But what I found out is that instead of trying to use a sort of green screen behind you, if you use one of the remove background features, it actually works a lot better. So you're still gonna wanna come here to the search and type in green screen. So you have a bunch of different options. And one thing to remember is that each one of these uses a little bit of a different algorithm. So you're gonna wanna test each one of them. But let's go ahead and pick this one. And the idea is that you're able to select an image. And this one's not so great. So let's go to the next one in the list, select an image. Oh, there we go. This one's working pretty good. So in this particular case, let's jump back over into OBS, bring me in there. For SnapCam, you can actually add this as a video capture device rather than a window capture. On your list, you're going to select SnapCam. Okay. And there we are. So with the hands up, you're still going to have a little bit of problem with the background popping in. I think that there's a little jiggliness here. So it's not perfect, but this is a decent solution depending on what you want to do. Because SnapCam actually offers a lot of different things you can do. I mean, you don't even have to be on camera. You can actually have a full avatar to replace yourself if you want to. So hopping back over into SnapCam, I'm now going to select the green screen. So I've chosen that as a green screen image. Hopping back over to OBS, you can really start to see some of the issues here. But again, if you want to, you can use it full screen. Record this and bring it into your video editing software and chroma key it there. Or if you want to, we can do pretty much the standard option of chroma keying it. Made it a little bit big. Toss it in the corner here. And we will add a filter of chroma key so you can get an idea of how this looks. So depending on your use case, I think that, SnapCam might be a good option. I'd give it maybe a 6 out of 10. And for a quick little extra here in SnapCam, there's a ton of things that you can do. For example, if you didn't want to show your face, you can have a helmet on. If you wanted to stream with Master Chief's helmet on, you could. So it's something fun for you to try out. Okay, so this next option is Nvidia Broadcast, which is now built directly into OBS. I will put a video up top here to show you exactly how to get that set up. It's a decent option. It's something that you don't have to have a third-party app running for. So let's go ahead and get this set up real quick. In this particular case, I'm going to add a video capture device, which is my USB camera. Now, if you right mouse click and hit filters for the USB camera, right mouse click again, and add Nvidia background removal, it starts working right away. Now, one of the things with Nvidia background removal is that you have to have an RTX Nvidia card for this to work. I think that's one of the biggest downfalls for people that don't have that type of technology, which is why some of the other solutions will work for you. But as you can see, it does actually a really good job. It's picking up a bit of my chair in the background here. If I was to move forward just a little bit, you can see that it kind of stops picking up that chair. And again, This is the worst case scenario with a gray shirt on, a gray hat, gray chair, gray background. It just doesn't get much to work on. For a built-in option, I think that Nvidia background removal is a really good choice and something you can try out. Okay, so this next option is XSplit VCam. This does have a paid version which removes the watermark that you see down here at the bottom. But depending on if you want to get a little creative in OBS, it's still something that you might be able to use free. So over on the right side here, you can actually choose to remove your background. So let's go ahead and give this a try right away in OBS. I'm going to add a video capture device. And in this particular case, it is a video capture device. Choose XSplit Cam. And you can see right away that's working great. I mean, all I did was remove the background, tossed it into the OBS, and you can see that I do have this little bit of watermark down here at the bottom. So let's go ahead and adjust the camera a little bit. Maybe adjust the location of my frame a little bit. And if you want to go ahead and use this in the free version, that's something you can try. Or I think the paid version is maybe $30 a year. If this is really a good option that you want to use, I mean, I have absolutely no problem tossing down a couple bucks for something that I really think is a good value to what I'm trying to do. So let's jump back over into the XSplit app. One of the things that I do like here is if I go back to the original, I can choose the amount of blur that I might want to add to the background. Here, if I slide it over, you might be able to see both of the screens at the same time. I can choose the amount of blur that is being used. So all the way up, all the way down. And one of the really cool things that I like about this is that you can choose your own images. You can add your own backgrounds. But let's go ahead and just pick one that they have here. If you want to, you can add a little bit of blur to that background. Show you what that looks like. It's a little bit strong, I think. I think that's a pretty decent option, right? So if we jump back over into OBS, go to our video capture device, and we're going to add a image mask blend. And I'm going to choose this circle here that I've used many times in the past. And I mean, I think that looks great. Other than the watermark, I think that that's something that you can most definitely do. Let's go ahead and turn off the image mask blend. Let's make it full screen so you can see pretty much the whole thing. And it's doing a pretty good job. So one other thing I want to, try out here is jump back over into XSplit. We'll go ahead and change it to just removing the background, and we will toss on our green screen. So you can see it still has, it's not as sharp as Nvidia Broadcast when it comes to, checking the hands. All in all, I think XSplit is a pretty decent option, even though it does have a premium mode. If I wanted to take myself and adjust my camera and just do a simple intro like this and then go into my video editing software and remove the green screen with a chroma key, I think it's good. I'm going to give this one about a 7.5. Okay, so these next couple of options are actually more of a post-processing option that you can use. They allow you to basically take your video and remove the background and then save out that video so that you can use within your video editing software. And the first option is v.io. So all you have to do is upload your video. I've already prepared a video ahead of time. Sort of my green screen test. All you have to do is click on your video on the bottom here, and they have a remove background option. And there we go. And now you can see it's even having a little bit of a hard time with this gray chair right behind me. I've done a couple other videos in here that I found have worked a little bit better. So let's go ahead and hit play on this real quick and mute this so you don't have to hear two of me. So it does a pretty good job. It checks your hands. The only thing in this particular case, like I said, that's having an issue is the background of the chair. But I think that's easily sort of remedied with choosing a better background than I have in this particular case. Like I said, I'm trying to sort of push these to the limit. But again, within v.io, I can go ahead and change the brightness. Just stick with me here. Brightness and saturation exposure all the way down. And I'm sorry, the brightness, contrast, and saturation all the way down, but the exposure all the way up. And so what that does is actually create sort of an alpha mask that you can export and use within your video editing software. Now, Vid also does allow you to replace the background with something else. I'll click a stock video here that they have. And down here in the timeline, if you can see this, I'll go ahead and sort of move my video up one level and toss this back behind me. Hit play. So, like any of the other options before, if I wanted to bring in my green screen, that way I could key it within my video editing software. I'll go ahead and just show you that real quickly here. So I went ahead and moved my video up above the green screen. And if I wanted to, let's go ahead and use this small little section right here to show you the example. If I wanted to bring that into my video editing software, I could. And just chroma key from within there rather than using a mask. But again, any export out of here is going to be low quality, 720p. And you may want to have a higher quality, maybe a 4K or a 1080. In that case, I would go ahead and use the mask option if possible. So that's Vid.io. I'm going to go ahead and give this, as far as a post-processing software, I'm going to give this one maybe a 6.5 out of 10. I think that there are much better options. And so let's go ahead and show you the next one. Okay, so the next option that we have here is CapCut. You may have seen a video on my channel about this one already. I think CapCut is actually a really good option depending on what you're trying to do. So all you have to do in CapCut is click Start Creating. And from within CapCut, you want to import your footage. And one of the good things about CapCut is that's not browser-based. It's actually installed on your machine, so it's a little bit quicker. So let me go ahead and grab this green screen test, same one that we used before. You're going to want to drop this down here into your timeline, click on the video, and up in the options here, go to cutout and auto cutout. So we'll go ahead and let this process. You can see that it's moving pretty quickly here because it's on my local machine. And there we go. So let's go ahead and play on this. So you can see that CapCut has done a much better job of sort of cutting out, getting rid of all the background, getting rid of my chair. Does a pretty decent job with the hands there. So as far as I'm concerned, CapCut is a really great option. At this point in time, it's got a standard video editing suite. I can move this up. I can go ahead and import my green screen if I want. Toss this back down behind here. And then use that to basically chroma key if I'd like. You can actually use any of their pre-made effects and filters. I'll let you go ahead and sort of explore everything that's in here. I mean, they've got a ton of stuff and a lot of really powerful options within CapCut. Now, next up is Runway. I've done an entire video on Runway. I think it's a great software. It is a free software to use for lower quality exports. And you can see I've actually used it a ton of times in order to sort of remove background for some of my videos. Let's go ahead and give that test footage a try. I'm going to create a new video composition. And I'm going to upload my video. Okay, now the video is uploaded. All you have to do is drag it down here into the timeline. And over here on the right side of the screen, hopefully I'm not covering it up, you're going to click on green screen. And this is where the true power of Runway comes in. You're able to basically start to use keyframes throughout your timeline to determine what is shown and what is removed. So let me go ahead and click the first keyframe. So I want to basically generate a mask based on that. And you can see that it hasn't quite totally understood what I want it to sort of keep and get rid of. So I'm going to go ahead and add a couple more spots here so it starts to understand. Okay, so it's got me fully in the picture, but it's got some of my chair here, which is one of the problems we saw with the other software. You can hop up to the right side here and click exclude. And then you can start to create exclusion points. So I've added one here and it's totally removed my chair. So I've added 2 exclusion points. Now, the good thing about Runway is if I go ahead and hit preview. All right, there we go. Now you can start to see that it's sort of not really understanding my hands in this particular case are something that I want to keep. So we'll go right back to where I start to bring up my hands. And what I can do is at this point in the timeline, I can go ahead and start to include different things at this particular time. So there we go. I've added my hand in. So we'll move forward. And now it knows that my hands are something that I want to keep in. You can see at this particular time, it's starting to not really understand that my jacket is really different than the background. So I'll go ahead and make sure that I click include down here. And if you can see at the bottom here, it's really sort of remembering these keyframes based on where the marker is at the time. So I'll go ahead and just kind of keep cruising through here. And it looks like it's doing a pretty good job. I'm not really going to get too in depth, but you can see it's given me a really powerful way to sort of include and exclude different parts of the video. I'm going to hit done masking. Okay, so back out into the main Runway interface. If I hit play, you can see it's done a pretty good job. I think that I can go ahead and clean up some of those smaller little artifacts that you might see throughout the video, but that's easy to do with the include and exclude. You can almost do it on a per frame basis if you want to. But what I like to do in Runway is I like to go ahead and instead of exporting it as a video that I'll use, I like to go ahead and make it a mask like I had shown you before. So in order to do that, on the right side over here, you can go under effects and filters. I like to choose solid color, choose the fill color to be white, leaving the background as black. And then when I go to export, I have an awesome mask that I can use in my video editing software to basically cut myself out of the background. And then in the video editing software like DaVinci Resolve, you can go ahead and put whatever you want in the background behind you. In my opinion, as far as post-processing goes, I would say that Runway is probably a 10 out of 10. It's something that I might sign up for and use in the future. But right now, I'm still just using the free tier until I become pro, which hasn't happened yet, but I'm getting closer. So that's going to do it, everybody. If you stuck around this long, I really appreciate this. Hopefully this video helped you. I mean, that's my goal, is to make videos that help people. Let me know down below if it did. Click on that subscribe button. Click on that like button just to let me know to keep doing this. And I appreciate every one of you that have already subscribed. You're making this something that's actually pretty enjoyable for me. So thank you all very much. Carl from Techful Goodies, out.